Hello everyone and welcome to what is not just a phenomenal performance over the course of one game of chess, but rather over an entire event. This is a game from the final round of Title Tuesday, and Arjun Erigaisi is a 9 out of 9 going into the final round. Now yes, there are 11 rounds in a Title Tuesday, but Arjun skipped round 1 for whatever reason. He started playing in round 2 and he's currently on 9 out of 9. And Magnus, who has played 10 games, is on 8.5 out of 10, as he has also lost one game and he has one draw. So Arjun has a chance of doing something spectacular here. He has a chance not just to win 10 out of 10, win Title Tuesday with a phenomenal score, but also to take down Magnus Carlsen in the final round. So let's check it out. It's quite a theory-packed game, but you know, after some 10 moves, we will have a crazy position. So let's see what happened. Arjun with white opens with pawn to d4. We have knight to f6, knight to f3, pawn to b6. Magnus transposes into the, well, some sort of an Indian game. He will play bishop to b7, pawn to e3, and bishop to b7. We have pawn to c4 and pawn to e6. Sorry about that. So this now is the Queen's Indian defense. This is the Spassky variation of the Queen's Indian. Bishop to d3 and pawn to d5. We have castles kingside, knight b to d7 and knight to c3. But now with d captures on c4 and bishop captures on c4 and a6, we transpose, well, not quite yet, queen to e2 and now pawn to b5 and bishop to d3. We've transposed back into the Queen's Gambit decline in the quiet variation of the Vienna. Pawn to c5, we have rook to d1, and now usually queen c7 or queen to b6 or queen to b8 is played. Here we have c captures on d4, which is incredibly rare, but they will go right back into known theory. We have knight captures on d4, and now there are some moves that have been played here, but now queen to b8 is a new move, so already as of move 12 we have a completely new game. Okay, Arjun goes pawn to b3. He wants to fianchetto the dark square bishop. We have bishop to d6. Magnus puts pressure on that h2 pawn. Pawn to h3 and castles kingside. We have bishop to b2. Now both bishops are eyeing the opponent's king. You can see that both bishop pairs are fully operational. Knight to c5, attacking the bishop on d3. And bishop back to c2. We have pawn to b4, attacking the knight, knight to b1, and now knight c to e4. Improving the position of the knight, asking Arjun, are you maybe interested in trading your light square bishop for a knight? So of course Arjun says no, knight to d2, and now knight to c3. And okay, this can definitely be considered a small victory for Magnus, forcing Arjun to give up the bishop pair. Bishop captures, b captures with knight to c4, attacking the bishop, and first bishop to h2, checking h1, and now bishop to c7, nicely controlling that knight on c4. We have rook a to c1 and pawn to g6 by Magnus. We have bishop back to b1 and knight to d5, just adding a defender to that c3 pawn, and Arjun has to figure out how to go after it. So here we have bishop to e4. The idea could be as simple as just capturing the knight and then capturing the pawn on c3. We have rook to c8 by Magnus, and now definitely Arjun can do that, and it is the top move recommended by the engine. But now we have a situation like we had with Magnus in the previous video, where Arjun plays a move that maybe is not the top move recommended by the engine, but it is much more difficult to handle by a human opponent. Plays queen to f3. And now, okay, what do you play? The knight cannot move, otherwise you're just going to lose that bishop on b7. So bishop to d8 by Magnus, also maybe preparing rook to c8, rook to d7. The rook could also help out with the defense of the bishop. And here we have knight to e2, just going after that c3 pawn. So this is how Arjun wants to win it. Pawn to f5, and now look at this. Bishop captures on d5. E captures on d5 and rook captures on d5. Arjun says, "You can have my exchange. I'm gonna go after your pawns." We have bishop to f6. You could capture on d5, but it's not that spectacular. Queen will capture with check, and once the king moves, the knight comes to d6, and you will have so much pressure against the black king, it will not be ideal, and all of Magnus's pieces are stuck on the back rank. So after rook captures on d5, bishop to f6, Magnus defends the c3 pawn, but still knight captures on c3. Doesn't care about the rook hanging. So now it's actually best to capture, but not capture the rook on d5. You have to capture the knight on c3, and after rook captures, just continue development with queen to c7. It is impossible to capture the rook, and why would you? The rook can't really move. However, Magnus does play bishop captures on d5. He dropped even to 9 seconds on the clock playing this move. Knight captures on d5, probably, maybe he was hoping for queen captures instead of knight captures, but with knight captures, it's not easy to find the move. Here, Magnus goes bishop back to d8, again to control the knight on d5, but now pawn to e4, and you just don't have time to develop any of your pieces. Magnus tries, he plays rook to a7, e captures on f5, we have rook to f7 and pawn to f6, where the pawn is nicely defended by the knight and by the queen on f3. And what do you play here? Magnus tried queen to b5, which is a valiant attempt, but it will not do. Even rook to c6, which is sort of the top move recommended by the engine, is met with the simple knight e7 check, and you just have to give back the exchange after captures. It was good when you were up the exchange and your opponent was up 2 pawns, but now Arjun is just up 2 pawns without Magnus being up the exchange, so this is of course completely winning. Even if you capture on f6, then just queen to d5 check, for example, if king to g7, okay, you have you really don't have all that much. You're even down a pawn now. Not down a pawn, you're down 2 pawns, and you will lose this game very, very soon. So after f6, Magnus's last attempt at holding this position is queen to b5, but now Arjun brings the rook in. Rook to e1, you also have to be careful if the queen loses control over the e8 square. Rook to c5, trying to win the knight on d5, and now Arjun finishes the game spectacularly, knight to d6. And there is nothing more that Magnus can do here. Just for fun, we'll show what happens if rook captures on d5, because it looks like you might have enough compensation, but not really. For example, knight captures, rook captures, you will just go rook to e8 with check, and after rook to f8, queen to e4, and there is no compensation here. The problem is there's no way to develop. If you do nothing, just queen to e6 check, king has to move, and then rook captures on f8 will be checkmate. And if you try to snatch a pawn, then you will not get checkmated, but you will be down too much material. Captures, queen versus a rook. That will be a very easy victory for Arjun. So after knight to d6, Magnus played queen to d7, and here Arjun simply played knight captures on f7, and he was in this position on move 36 that Magnus Carlsen resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. Once you capture on f7 with the king, rook to e7 check, and that is over. You don't lose the queen, but after bishop captures, f captures on e7 comes with check. The pawn is defended, and that's all there is. If you go up the board, then queen to f8 will be checkmate. So your only hope is to play queen to f5, but then you can pretty much choose how you want to end the game. Cleanest and nicest and the most aesthetically pleasing is just bring a queen into the game, and once the king captures, you will go queen to e3 with check. Interestingly, in this position, although you might think everything is winning, only queen to e3 check is winning, and now you're just gonna pick up the rook, and that's why you win. King d7, queen captures on c5, you're up a full piece, and of course completely winning. But of course Magnus and Arjun are so strong that you don't have to play it out. Both of them see it, and if you can't capture with the king, if you can't capture with the queen, what is there for you to even do? You could try capturing with the queen, but then again knight to e7 with check. Another problem is if bishop captures, you will play rook captures. What is there for queen to do? Rook c1 check, king h2, the queen has nowhere to go, or after queen to f8, again queen e3, now threatening the rook, now threatening rook to e8 to win the queen, and there's nothing. If you try rook to c8 to hold the back rank, you give a nice check, queen to e6 with check, and after king to h8, now just queen e5, you threaten some discoveries, and it seems like, okay, maybe you can play this, but yeah, you cannot. There's a passed pawn on f6. It's only a matter of time before you improve and black just cracks. You will probably slow play it a little bit, king h2, then you push some pawns, but you will win this game eventually. So of course Magnus does not want to wait for that. After knight captures on f7, he resigned, and Arjun does not just beat Magnus in the final round, he wins the entire tournament with 100% victories. There you have it. Let me just make this a little bit bigger. So Arjun defeated everyone. Okay, first 3 rounds he had maybe some light warm-up, but then all top grandmasters: Alexander Goryachkin, Murli Kartakian, Aravind Chitambaram, Pranesh, Pragnananda, Bortnik Alexander, and in the final round Magnus Carlsen. And all of this, he wins the tournament without even having played the round 1 for some reason. You know, maybe he just forgot it already started, or he was having you know, a nice sandwich. We will never know. But yeah, brilliant stuff by Arjun, showing why he is you know, top class, and why he is you know, definitely in the top 5 best players in the world. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. You know, nothing feels quite as good as you know, winning a tournament by beating Magnus in the final round with 100% and skipping a round. I mean, who does that? Arjun does that. There you have it. I would like to thank Douglas Van Bijn, Huisam, Samuel Kamuli, Nidi Kumar, Marcus Shib, and Mariusz Klimek for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. Thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.